Well, myself, I was born and raised in Fort Peck, Montana, so I was from this area. Kind of my spiritual path was, I grew up in the Lutheran Church in Fort Peck and Nashua. I went through confirmation through the Lutheran Church. But I think the biggest struggle when I was growing up is there was never a connection to Him and that He was really a living God. And I never made that connection. I just never felt, and it was never really taught the impacts that He has in your day-to-day life. And I felt like it was more of a history lesson than it was a real life lesson. So yeah, I was born here and went off to college in Rapid City, and that's where we met. Became friends. We were friends for a few years before we started dating.
I did not grow up in a believing home or a Christian home, and so I had never heard about Jesus. Didn't know who He was, didn't know anything about Him, didn't know. I'd heard the name Jesus, but that was as far as it went. I didn't know why He came, what He was about, didn't know that He died for my sins or anything like that. And so, we were just living our life. We were just kind of in the party scene, going to bars. Then we moved to Wyoming. Inside, I started feeling like just a little bit of a pull to just kind of maybe search for God, like a little bit of a pull to just kind of check out churches. I can't even say why. I just feel like maybe God, I'm sure obviously God was like putting that prompt on there to just kind of seek His face a little bit. And Jed had a boss that was encouraging him to come to church. He was inviting him constantly, and Jed was turning him down a lot.
Yeah, I remember. So I took a job in Wyoming, and Amy had another year in college. And so during the summer, she'd come live with me. And then when she graduated, she'd come and moved in with me. And it wasn't very long, but I guess that whole time my boss was just encouraging us to go to church or to come to his church. And I was like, nah. And I always felt like that same pull like Amy's talking about. But I almost didn't want to go because he was asking me so much. It was so that much. But it was okay. But yeah, the funny thing was, and I know it was God looking back on it, but we went to church together for the first time in Wyoming.
We just decided to just naturally go to the church that He invited us to, and we were like, well, we'll just try this out for one Sunday, and then probably just church hop around and just see what one fits our little view of God and fits our lifestyle and what we want to do. And that very first Sunday, there was an older couple in the church, and they invited us out to breakfast afterward, and we were like, what? Like, you don't even know us. Like, you were going to invite us to breakfast? We were just floored. Like, we just could not even believe that somebody would be so nice to us. And then they just, like, didn't even know us. And so then we kept going back, and we never, ever went to another church there in Wyoming. And so it's just, like, amazing. It was just like, this is where I want you. You just see God's handprints, like, all over it. Like, that's where He wanted us. And we met some other young couples that we became friends with, and they invited us to their small group, which was just absolutely amazing. Like, they just really, really took us under their wing and just showed us, like, who God was, and just helped us get into His Word, just really taught us, like, from the basic level, like, everything, like, about God, and just took us under, and were just our friends. They were just great friends.
Yeah, I think the biggest difference at that point was just, for me, was going from the background that I was, that I knew a lot of the church stuff, but going to a church that tried to make you know that the Lord is alive, that Jesus is among us now, and He has an impact on us continually, and it's not a history lesson. And the members were so loving and so welcoming to us that it was infectious, and you wanted to be there. Is when you have people that are excited to see you there on Sunday morning, that are truly care about you, that truly want to have an in-depth relationship with you. you're going to be impacted. And that was the biggest thing that we found with that church. And then we got into a small group, and that was, life-changing, because it made us dive deeper into our own lives and look at our own, sinful natures. We were living together, just newly engaged. I remember even a time we started doing counseling, and
marriage counseling.
Marriage counseling, yeah, and we were starting to be convicted of, just seeing the sin in our lives of, living together, and so we made a vow to be abstinent for the last part of that until we were our wedding day, and worked hard towards that. But we would never have felt those things if we wouldn't have had the life group and the friends, I guess at that point, that were guiding us and helping us along the way.
They weren't convicting us, though. It was
it
was the Holy Spirit
working on us.
Yeah, the Holy Spirit.
That connection
was working on us.
Before, I felt like we were so self-containing and self-sustaining that it was, we didn't have to rely on him. We didn't have to depend on him for, financially, or for, the weather was bad. Who cares? We weren't as affected by as much. And so I think that took us out of truly knowing him and following him. And then we were also, separate as a family more. And I guess now it's just looking at the journey that he's going to present before us now and see if we can be steadfast. And
if you weren't a believer, you would look at our life and probably be like, what are they doing? And we have gotten that. We have gotten like people like, you're moving where? You're quitting your well-paying job to do what? Like, and it's not up for them to understand that. And sometimes it's not even up for us to understand. It's like, if God's calling you to do something, then you do it. And it's just taking that step of faith of like, are you going to trust me? Are you going to, do you really believe my promises? Do you really believe my truth? Like, and so getting to live that out in this way has been kind of neat. It's kind of a roller coaster at times, but I mean...
Well, I think we always get into those routines where we have our own plans and our own agendas, and no matter what we do, especially when you're self-employed, but you just got to keep reminding yourself that he's in every activity, and he needs to be. And we always talk about trying to follow him continually and follow him not on a yearly path or a long-term program, but more on every activity, every daily thing we're doing, every moment by moment if we can, and trying to be continually connected and obedient if we can. And I'm not saying we're perfect in doing it right, but I think it's just that you're trying and trying to be more connected. And I guess that's where he's got us right now.